Is your car keeping you poor? Most people just assume that they need a new car or an expensive car or a fancy car, and that a car payment is just a fact of life, and a high car payment is also something that they just accept. It's like they never really challenge these assumptions. They just, whether it's what their neighbors do or it's how their parents lived, they just assume that they have to drive an expensive car. And I think a lot of people don't really consider the financial impact to that one decision. You go in, you buy a car, you make that one decision, and then the impact, the consequences of that decision carry on for years. So today, we're going to look at a case study, and we're going to analyze the result from one type of car versus another type of car. And I think you'll be surprised at what a big difference it makes. Okay, so the first example we're going to look at is a brand new Dodge Charger. This is not what I would describe as an extravagant vehicle. This isn't a $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 truck. It's not, a six-figure BMW luxury Mercedes. Relatively speaking, this is, a lot of people would consider this to be a fairly reasonable purchase. So I looked at I just pulled up a random brand new Dodge Charger, and the purchase price is $38,810. Now, we're going to make some assumptions on this. We're going to generously assume that you have $5,000 to put down on this vehicle. And in addition to that, we're also going to assume a 60-month term. So these payments will occur over the next 5 years and at a very generous rate of 6% interest. So we're going to assume that you got a fantastic interest rate and you're not paying those 12, 13, 14% interest rates that some people are. So basically, we're giving you all the benefits, all the benefit of the doubt on this purchase of this brand new Dodge Charger. Okay, and we're also going to assume that you don't have a trade. That way we can do an apples to apples comparison between this and a different purchase. So no trade, and we're also going to assume 6.5% sales tax. Okay, and then there's always extra fees, title, registration, undercoating, whatever it is from the dealer. So we're going to tack on another $2,200, which is probably reasonable-ish for a car that's almost $40,000. So all of that, making all those assumptions, we come up with a payment of $745. Now, $745 for a car payment is quite a bit, but it's actually about roughly the average today of what people have for their car payments on a brand new car purchase. In fact, 17% of car buyers have a payment of $1,000 or more, which to me, that is insane. But we're not going to be dealing with that. We're dealing with what many would consider a reasonable car purchase. Just under $40,000 for the MSRP, and a car payment right at about the average of $745. Okay, so at the end of 60 months, 5 years, you have diligently made your car payment every single month. How much money will you have spent on that car over those 5 years? And the amount is $44,700. That's how much you have paid in payments, in addition to the $5,000 that you put down. So at the end of 5 years, you now have a 5-year-old car, and you have spent $49,700 on that car. Okay, now we're going to switch over to the other example. And for this example, I just pulled up just a random Toyota Corolla. And this Toyota Corolla is used. It's a 2016 with just over 100,000 miles. So I think it would be reasonable to assume that you should be able to get 5 years of use out of this car, if not much more. But again, we're going very conservative here. We're going to assume that you're going to get 5 years of use out of this car. Okay, so again, we're going to do a 60-month term. And because it's used, we're going to assume a slightly higher interest rate. So we're going to do 7% interest, assume you have great credit, and that you're also going to be put down $5,000 on this car. And this person, this is buying this car from a dealer, but it is used, and they have a list price of $12,000. So a $12,000 purchase price, and you are putting down $5,000. Now we're also going to assume, around 6.5% for sales tax, and another $500 for dealer charges like license and registration, etc. Which I think $500 extra for that on a $12,000 purchase is reasonable. It's in the ballpark for the purposes of this example. So after all of that, all of the fees, everything, the down payment, no trade-in. Again, we're doing no trade-in. The monthly payment comes out to $164 per month. Contrast that with the payment from the previous example of $745 a month. So in this example, $164 a month car payment for the next 5 years. Now, how much will you pay in payments over the next 5 years at $164 a month? And that amount is $9,840. So at the end of 5 years, you will have paid $9,840 plus the $5,000 down payment. Okay. So I think you can draw some pretty significant conclusions based on just the amount paid over those 5 years, $44,000 versus $9,000, or just under $10,000, $9,840 versus $44,000. So there's a $34,000 difference in the amount that you will have paid over those 5 years. But we're not done yet. Because if instead of taking on that $745 a month car payment, you take on the $164 a month car payment, that means you now have an extra $581 in your budget every month that you can then invest. So $581 going into an investment account, mutual funds, index funds, etc., every month for 5 years. We're going to conservatively estimate a 7% return on your investment. How much money at the end of 5 years will you have in your investment account? And the answer is $41,364. Think about that. Over $41,000 sitting in an investment account at the end of 5 years, all because you chose to drive a used Toyota Corolla versus a new Dodge Charger. At the end of the day, these two cars both get you from point A to point B the exact same. I mean, yeah, you get that new car smell, you get in the car, you're driving it. That lasts for about 5 minutes, maybe. After 5 minutes, is there really that much difference between driving a Dodge Charger and a Toyota Corolla? Yeah, you're going to have some performance differences, like you'll be able to pass other cars easier. Is that worth over $40,000? It is crazy to me that people put themselves in such a deficit financially just so they can drive a new car. And again, I'm not talking about some extravagant luxury automobile. $38,000 for a new car, again, a lot of people would consider that a reasonable purchase. But consider the cost of that reasonable purchase. Over $40,000. Imagine, at the end of those 5 years, you now have over $40,000 sitting liquid in an investment account versus $0. Which would you rather have, $0 or over $40,000? And all you have to do is just drive a used Toyota Corolla for 5 years instead of a new Charger. To me, this is a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer. I don't understand it. If anybody has any thoughts as to why I'm wrong or why they think the Charger is the better option, I would love to hear it. But for me, the choice is obvious.